here I am back for stage 2 of my workshop decluttering, and I'm ready to tackle my glassware area. So again, need to tuck the curtains out of the way. So here I've got glass down here. I don't think you can see, it's just off screen. I've got a little filing cabinet full of craft supplies which I'll need to go through, and then some shelves up at the back here. So I'm going to tackle what's around the back here first of all. So glue sticks, they need to be put with some other glue sticks. And again, if you saw my first tidy up, I've been collecting these lacy doilies and turning them into scarves, and I must have so many of them now that I'm not going to make them into scarves anymore. So I shall donate those back to the charity shop so they can go in my charity shop pile down here. So I should say I've got 3 piles going, one for the charity shop and giveaways, one that is just total rubbish, which I'm either going to compost if it's dried flower materials, or recycle or throw in the bin, and then the other stuff will be what I will put back and make a more efficient use of the shelves I've got. So here, some really heavy floristry wires. I've got a new place for my floristry wires now, so I want to keep them all together. So actually I'm going to put it on one side to put away later on. And then another whole stack of glue sticks, which I've just opened at the wrong end. So I need to put all those back and keep them together so I'll know where to find those next time. And actually what I might do, if they've got that big hole, I've got this plastic jug and I might just store them in there for the moment. And then a raised dish. I quite often use this when I do my adult education class. It's really nice when you're doing flower arrangements to lift them off the table a little bit, so that's a really handy dish. And then in here I've got a bag full of glue guns. So the glue guns and the glue sticks need to be kept together. So I shall put those back in a moment. And on the top shelf I've got a little cardboard box which I was using as a prop box for my photographs. In fact, as I empty that out, I've only got one sheet of wrapping paper. I used to use wrapping paper as the background to my photographs, so I might actually put that in my wrapping paper pile and then have the box to one side, because I'm sure I can fill that with something else as well. And then 2 plates. If you followed my Vlogmas for Christmas, 12 days of Christmas, I bought these plates to do some styling with, and they only cost me £1.50 for the pair, and I don't need them anymore, so I think I will give those back to the charity shop. And then down here I've got a glass jug. All my glassware is just a bit dusty and ideally needs cleaning out, but what I tend to do, because I'm working in the workshop space, everything is washed as soon as I finish using with it, but I tend to wash it again when I use it again, because it does get a bit dusty on the shelves, so I should keep that to one side. And then 2 jars here. That's an old coffee jar, I think. Now I'm doing a workshop later on this month using jam jars to arrange flowers in, so I'm going to put that in my jam jar pile. This glass jar here is actually an old Kilner jar, so it's quite nice to use, so I shall be saving that. And then I went through a phase of buying all sorts of glassware from the charity shop, and I don't think I've ever really used this one, and I'm going to send that back to the charity shop. And a wine carafe, which I'm going to keep because we used to use that at home and it just needs a good wash. Not quite ready to get rid of that yet. And an old stopper, which I think must have come from my mum. I'm going to hold on to that for a while. And then also I had this thing for collecting these cake stands, and again sort of supplies for classes. And these days I tend to do a lot of classes where the ladies bring their own materials, so I don't need to supply everything for them. I am going to keep this one because I like the little upstand here, But this one was always really difficult to use. It's more fluted. So I think I will donate that back to the charity shop. And I got a matching pair. I think these look like matching pairs, so I might keep the two. You never know. I could have one arrangement at either end of the table. And then this stand, it's lovely, sort of reminds me of something you might have ice cream in, but actually it's too flat. And when you put the flower foam in here, it doesn't sit so well, so I'm going to get rid of that one as well. I can't believe I'm getting rid of these. I searched high and low for them, and now here I am, just getting rid of them. A crunched up bit of chicken wire, which is really handy when you are arranging in vases, because you can put it down into your vase and arrange your flowers through that, so I will keep that. And then a plastic vase. I thought these might have been a good idea for a class, and never really used them, so I shall donate that to the charity shop. Get rid of all those bits of green that's falling out there. And then back at the top here, I've got all my supplies of oasis shapes, which I've wedged in. So I'm keeping hold of those. It's all those kind of things that are back at the side. And I have a tray as well. Because originally when I started my classes, my workshops, I sort of had a vintage tea party theme to them. And I quite like that tray. But what I find now, although I don't use the tray, it's quite handy putting on the shelf, because anything small can rest on the tray without falling down the holes in the grids. And then that one there is, I quite like this vase. It's wider at the bottom than this one, so it's more practical to use. And looking at it, I think this is the vase that I stood my flowers in when I preserved them with glycerin. So you have to check back and look for that video. But I'm reasonably sure I eventually transferred my glycerin into this vase because it's a better shape. The glycerin stood up quite high, and then the flowers could spill out, so I'm holding on to that one. And then at the bottom here, a little glass dish. I've never used that. Again, like the idea in the charity shop, but wasn't for me. And a basket that I think that originally would have been filled with like a planted arrangement. And again, I've not used that. And although I've got a couple of trough vases, if you've seen the early video, I've got a couple of trough vases. I think I will charity shop that one, pass that on, make some space for myself. And also, gosh, how dusty is that? Again, I just had a thing for it, these vases, and they only cost me a couple of pounds each. It's almost like a fruit bowl. So I shall be getting rid of that one as well. And what have we around the corner? Whoops, that's making a right old squeak. More glassware with lots of bits and pieces in it. A goldfish bowl. Again, that's quite handy. Sort of quite a classic shape, particularly nice for arranging tulips in when you bend them round, so I think I'll keep hold of that one. And then a much deeper glass vase. Now this will look great, filled with sticks and flowers arranged through it, but it's quite large, not quite sure about that. And then this trough here, really big. It almost looks like a casserole dish, but it was, again, I went to a workshop and was supplied with these. So I think I might get rid of that big one and keep the two smaller ones. Put that down there. I think they will be a bit more practical. So down like that, and I can see right at the bottom, I think I've got another sort of combination of a cylinder vase and a goldfish bowl as well. So I shall put those all back in my cupboard and freeing up some space, and as I do, trying to sort of consolidate everything so it packs down really neatly, in the hope that when I've done a workshop, I will just have somewhere I can put my bag and empty it back in, and hopefully the whole workshop will be tidier, so fingers crossed. So I'd love to hear how you're getting on with your decluttering, so do drop me a comment below, and if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you're interested in hearing lots of flower arranging hints, tips and bits of chat. I'll see you again another time.